This is your early game Infinite Colony build for Crow Castle. While it's meant for the Infinite Colony, you can just as well use it for the first, second, and third world as well and conquer them with this build. It looks like this. We will do a battle first so you can see it in action. This account is on a wave level 25,000, so we will be doing a +5 skip on Infinite Colony on manual gameplay. You can just as well use Audible. You will see it in the bottom right corner of your window once you start the Infinite Colony run. But in the very early game, you might have some mana issues when you do that, because mana is still a problem. It will be fixed once you reach higher and higher wave level. Don't worry about that too much for now. If you can handle the Audible, it's probably easier because you don't have to actually waste time manually playing these. But if you do Infinite Colony, and you should do Infinite Colony, try to do, if you can, the +5, +10 or +20 skips if possible, because obviously it will save you time compared to just doing a single run one by one and increase your Infinite Colony level by that. So +5 is the bare minimum I want to do on even on this low level account. That might mean you probably can do like 1 run per day, and that's completely fine. It will take you a couple of minutes per day to do some Infinite Colony, and then you will be just fine. So you can see the build in action. If you're wondering why my summons are constantly in here, I don't need to worry about them. It's because they are immortal for this build. There's a video explaining the immortal summons. I will link it down in the description box. It's a very short video. It will tell you exactly how this works. And otherwise, the basic idea is that we will be knocking and pushing the enemies back to the enemy castle, and our damage dealers will be continuously dealing damage to the enemies. And we have the Ice Wizard in here. In case the enemy starts to break a little bit loose, we can just freeze them and make sure they will get pushed all the way back to the enemy castle instead. So that's a really handy thing for the Infinite Colony build. I will go through the heroes and give some options, alternatives as well after this run. So let's finish this run first. We have the healing altar in here in case we need some emergency heal, because we are in here constantly taking damage from the enemy archers. Now, in this run, we don't certainly seem to be needing that yet. And if you are strong enough, like in here, in this case, most likely, I should use the altar of sword instead of the healing altar in here, because that will give us, our heroes, a little bit more attack and damage, and also make the run a little bit faster, so you can also save a little bit time by doing that. But we are making progress. You can see the enemies are constantly dying, which is a great thing. And this should be our victory in momentary here. There we go. Yes, Infinite Colony +5 done on this low level account. So now that we are on 25,000 waves and 75 level on the Infinite Colony, we have a ratio of 3 for the Infinite Colony, which is very nice for this wave level, I must say. The battle results look like this. I will show them quickly so you can see what is happening over here. And then the build. Now the heroes, we have 4 main damage dealers for this build, as you saw from the results. We have Mad Giants, we have Edward, Bowmaster and Sniper. And Giants and Edward will be the 2 best damage dealers for this build, but also Bowmaster is an important part of it, and Sniper also helps, because these are exactly the same units you use for your wave build, so you don't have to waste any additional gold to level up any units for Infinite Colony build, and you will be able to just win just fine. Once you start getting some items from Sin, try to give these units percentual damage, physical damage, critical damage, and critical chance lines if you can. Those will be fine, helping you a lot at this point. And if you are lucky enough to have an item that has a +1 summoned unit, a legendary item, give it to Giants. He will love it. Another unit who wants the same kind of damage items is Dark Elf over here. She is responsible of part of our healing, and the better items you have for her, the more healing you will get throughout the run. And also, if you are lucky enough to get a legendary item with +1 arrow, give it to Elf. She will love that, mark my words. Also, Smith is here for the healing, so if you get cooldown items, give Smith some cooldown items. Same goes for Pure Wizard and Dark Necromancer. You want to be able to cast these as often as possible, so give your best cooldown items on these 3 units. If you have excessive cooldown items, you can give them to Ice Wizard, but he is on a lower priority in that sense. Blue Defender here is just to boost our castle defense and give us a little bit more HP. He does not need any kind of items, so you don't have to worry about that at all. And then the rest of the units, Alice, Dorothy and Slingers, are here for crowd control. So if you start getting items that has stun lines and knockback lines, use them on these units, because your main idea is that you can keep enemies pushed back to the enemy castle and then kill them over there so that they cannot storm your castle and kill you instead. You can see, quite easy strategy. I'm a master strategist. Yes, that thing. For the towers, we are using the mirrored worm in here as well to help us with our mana issues, and then the frozen tower, the slow monsters, a little bit cheap unit, a little bit more crowd control. Doesn't really cost anything to keep it in here. We have one slot free in here, as you can see. If you have leveled something, you can put it in here. For example, if you have barracks, you can get a little bit more bodies on the field. Helps a little bit, won't make a huge difference, so I just left it empty for now. For castle parts, make sure to have the sealed castle in here. And also pick the highest level damage dealer castle parts you have leveled so far, whichever it might be. The third slot you can fill with the second highest level if you have purchased another one. On this account, I don't even have another one, so it's empty. The slot is empty, and that's completely fine. No worries in there. Castle parts are not doing huge amounts of damage in here either. Just make sure to get the physics base, the stone castle for the base, to boost your physical units attack. One alternative could be to use the mech ram instead of Alice in here if you happen to get knockback items for the mech ram, because he can be quite nice for crowd control because of his splash area damage that can help you pushing the enemies back towards the enemy castle if you are struggling with that. So that's an option if you get some knockback items for mech ram for this build, but this will work just fine in case you don't. Then for the treasures, they are in here. These are very defensive heavy treasures, and I would recommend you start with this layout. The Power Claw is the best offensive treasure you can get, so keep that in. And we have these 3 defensive treasures over here, and if you are strong enough that you can out-heal the enemy, we probably could have done that in this run, to be honest, you can start replacing them by offensive treasures. So first you should try getting in Sharp Arrow to boost your damage, and if you are still strong enough to be able to out-heal the enemy, you can also put in the Skull Ring instead. And if you're still strong enough, you can just use the Frozen Heart to make sure the enemies die faster when you actually freeze them with your Dark Ice. That's a minor boost for this one. But I would heavily recommend you to start with the defense, because it's more important to stay alive and win slowly than die fast, you know? Again, master statistic. And then the skill tree, it looks like this. So we are going down with the summon path, and most important things in here are the summon only once nodes. It will be explained clearly in the Immortal Summons Guide video. I will again link it down in the description box below if you need more help with that. It helps us to keep our summons alive throughout the whole run, so we don't have to resummon them. And then we have the Witch's Node in here, which makes us stronger for every witch we have in the build. That's why we have 2 in here. And also this node over here gives your Slinger's piercing ability, which is really great if you have some crowd control items for Slingers, because they can not only knock or stun the first enemy, but they might also apply it to other enemies as well. Now there's an alternative that you can also use the physical tree for this build, and in that case your skill tree would look like something like this. It's basically the same tree that you will use in your waving build, and I would recommend again you to try which one works for you the best, because it varies account per account. There's pros and cons for each. In here we have Immortal Summons, which is really great for us, and our giants will be stronger because of that reason as well. But in the physical tree, for example, we will have more healing, because Dark Elf, for example, will get more boost from there. And personally, I found out on this account that this summon tree works better for the Infinite Colony, but I had better success staying alive against the Orc colonies in the third world with the physical tree. So I recommend you test out which is the best for you. And if you end up going with the physical tree, I will recommend that you change the promotion of your giants to stone giants, and also switch Alice out and put in the angels for movement speed boost for your giants as well. So those are the small changes you will want to make if you go with the physical tree instead. Again, try which one works for you the best.